Welcome back to Seven Moons Astrology. I'm Sarah Kirby, and today we're talking about a very special transit. It's the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction coming up here on April 12th. This is a very talked about energy because it's happening in the sign of Pisces. Jupiter and Neptune are outer planets, so they take a very long time, they move slowly, to go through the full revolution of all 12 signs. So they only meet together about every 12 years or so, and it's thought to be a very beneficial energy. Now, as they move through and they go around the zodiac, sometimes they meet in Taurus, sometimes they meet in Gemini, sometimes they meet in Scorpio, right? And some signs they like to be in more than others. Some signs, their energy is more effective, and some signs it can be kind of a contrast or conflict with their natural energies. But in the sign of Pisces, it's very special when they meet here because both of their energies work beautifully in the sign of Pisces because they're at home here, or what is called domicile in astrology. It's when a planet that rules a sign is stationed or transiting through that sign. So in traditional astrology, when we only had awareness of the visible planets to the naked eye in the sky, Jupiter was thought to rule the sign of Pisces. It's considered the traditional ruler of the sign of Pisces. And then when humanity discovered and integrated into our consciousness Neptune was correlated to the sign of Pisces and thought to be the modern day ruler. So they have co-rulership, both Jupiter and Neptune, over the sign of Pisces. So when they are both in their home sign, their energy is very free and clear and comfortable. It's like when you're at home, you're relaxed, you're at ease, you're authentic, you can do what you want, you behave exactly as natural and comfortable to you, right? So that's the same thing for the planets in their home signs. The energies are harmonious of the sign and of the planets. Now, what are Jupiter and Neptune? What do they represent? And what does Pisces mean? What is Pisces energy? Well, first we have Jupiter. Jupiter is the great benefic planet. Being that it is the largest planet in the solar system, it has the themes and symbolism of expanding on everything it touches. It's thought to magnify, draw attention to, and create opportunity around whatever it touches or interacts with, other planets or energies in your chart. So it expands on things. As the great benefic, it is also something that opens doors, makes things easier, and brings opportunity to you, brings good fortune. It can also expand on things you don't like. And that's sometimes what happens with Jupiterian energy. For instance, when it's in interaction with Mars, a hard aspect to Mars, which is the planet of anger, it can make us really reactive and it can expand on feelings of frustration. So that is also possible too. But because Jupiter is thought of as the great benefic, usually whatever scenarios that arise tend to have a quick, immediate solution, or they resolve well in the end, right? It brings good things, brings blessings. Jupiter is also associated with higher education, foreign travel, culture, peoples, places, and things. Air travel, it's associated with exploration, adventure, optimism, hope. It is about religion, philosophy, ideology, belief, ethics, morals, and it is connected to the judicial system, how we judge things as right or wrong. That's Jupiterian energy. Neptune, also being correlated to Pisces, is the god of the sea, right? So it is about the oceanic oneness of human consciousness. You can't distinguish one drop of water in the ocean. What's that saying, right? That's the principle of Neptune and what it means to have oneness consciousness, universal consciousness. And that's what Neptune and Pisces energy is really all about. So it knows no boundaries, right, between you and I. There's no separation. It's about unity. It's about connection. It's about compassion. It's about empathy, and it's about healing. Neptune in the sign of Pisces also have to do with pharmaceuticals, chemicals, addictions, drugs. Did I say medicine? It has to do with that too. It is connected to issues of escapism and self-sabotage, especially when it relates to substance type of things. And that is because one other theme of Neptune and Pisces energy is imagination, fantasy, and hallucinogenic worlds. Confusion is another one of the possible manifestations of Neptune and Pisces energy. But ultimately, the biggest key words for Neptune and Pisces are compassion and oneness and deep healing. It is connected to the subconscious mind and the processes that happen in the deeper layers that we're not necessarily aware of. It's about magic and mysticism and spirituality, solitude, meditation, rest, sleep, dreams in the dream world, and the way that our imagination can create those dream worlds. So it's about all of those things. Retreating away, to get a time out and to be with your thoughts and to wonder. Those are all Neptune, Pisces energies. So when these two planets come together in their home sign, I'm liable to say that the energy is going to express in a way that is more beneficial because both planets are comfortable there, although some of the more darker manifestations are possible as well. So as we look to the past to inform where we're at in the future today, the last time that this conjunction happened in the sign of Pisces was 1856. That's a really long time ago, right? And it sets the precedent for what we might expect to see here as this union in Pisces occurs again. Now, this energy is very slow moving and the cycle is very, very long. So if we think the last time that it happened in Pisces, 1856, it's like a long time ago, right? That's the full cycle of Jupiter and Neptune in the sign of Pisces. But generally, we consider the cycle of Jupiter and Neptune to be every time they meet. So about every 12 years or so. It would be a waste of time for me to go through and tell you everything that happened in the previous 12 years or all the way since 1856. So I'll just give you a few examples of what occurred immediately around the period of the conjunction in 1856, which is about the month of March. Now, several things I noticed when I did this, and I did it by Googling the year 1856 and reading the Wikipedia page of everything that happened. So you could do this yourself and check it out. There were several transatlantic voyages that some of which were lost and some of which were successful. Whoa, that is a very literal expression of this energy. Voyage and exploration, that's Jupiter, and the sea and potentially getting lost at sea, that's all Neptune and Pisces. So there was the SS Pacific leaving Liverpool for a transatlantic voyage where all 186 passengers were lost. There was the Oceanic Queen also leaving Liverpool, and that was also lost. But there was a successful one. It was the RMS Persia, which completed a successful 9-day, 16-hour westbound transatlantic crossing. That one was successful. There was also a major hurricane, which hit Louisiana and sort of broke up the land into several islands and makes it the configuration that it is today. Hurricanes having to do with an expansion of oceanic Neptunian energy and the concept of loss and endings. Now, the other thing that happened where there was several foundings of universities, Jupiter is related to universities. The people that were born during that year, there were several noteworthy artists and creatives that were born, and that's all Piscean energy, especially when it has to do with visual mediums of art like painting. But most notably, in the month of March, when the conjunction was exact, in 1856, Mauvine, the first synthetic organic dye, is discovered by William Henry Perkin while attempting to synthesize quinine. Quinine, I don't know how to say that. It is a drug for malaria that he was researching. It eventually led to the birth of the chemical industry. That's Pisces, the chemical industry. So there you go. That was the foundation of this energy. So what could we expect to see today in the collective? Well, I think you're already feeling it because these energies are so slow moving that they build over a very long period of time. Now, one obvious manifestation would be that there is a change of ethics, philosophy, morals, beliefs, and laws, Jupiter, around topics of health, medicine, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, Neptune, in the sign of Pisces. How do we protect the oneness? Right? Concern for compassion for other people as the driving narrative. The other thing about Piscean energy is that it is the energy that is associated with sacrifice, victimhood, and martyrdom. And so that kind of ties in with the present collective themes as well. So it's really interesting to see the way that the previous experience has been building up to this energy now, and we can probably expect to see a continuation of some of those themes. But we're also going to have a lot of beneficial things happening right now, and I'd like to pull up the chart to show you what I mean, because when I pull up the chart here for the specific point at which these planets come exact, it's April 12th at 23 degrees Pisces. And this is so fascinating because we have a lot of other energy happening at the later degrees of the signs. So first place I want to go is actually Saturn, which is stationed in Aquarius at 23 degrees. It's the great malefic, bringing challenge and hardship, and it's very close to in conjunction with Mars, the minor malefic planet. So this is really interesting to have happening at the same time that we have Jupiter, the great benefic, good fortune, hope, opportunity, Neptune, compassion, healing, peace, connection, against Mars, war, fighting, conflict, Saturn, challenge, hardship, rules, regulations, restrictions. Light and dark are literally fighting right now at this time, right? Light and dark are warring, but we also have the sun at a similar degree, 22 degrees Aries. The sun in Aries is telling me that there is a newness, a fresh energy coming in, a motivation, a willpower to begin in a new direction. It's that springtime energy. And this feels to me like a moment in time in which humanity is going to choose the path that they want to move forward in as a collective. And it really is an energy where I see the positive side of things and the hopeful side of things outweighing the darker energies, because Mars is going to move on from Saturn fairly quickly, and Saturn energies tend to get better with time. We've also got the North and South Node in Taurus and Scorpio happening at 22 degrees, which is significant because those nodal placements represent the collective direction of society at this time in a karmic and fated, destined way, the lessons and topics that we're meant to be working with. And so with the North Node in Taurus, it's themes of our values, our resources, our connection with the land and the earth, sustainability, what's important to us, and how we treat those things in a correct way. And so Taurus has to do with food, supply chains, money, and energy, sustainability of energy, not like astrological energy, but actual physical power. And so what I might expect to see here with a lot of this being that the South Node in Scorpio, which is an energy of moving away from issues of power, abuse, corruption, and conspiracy, is that truth is revealed, right? Because Neptune is also tied to deception, confusion, and illusion. And if Jupiter comes in and sort of open doors here, on one hand, we could see more confusion and deception. But on the other hand, I think we're going to be seeing things much more clearly because of that sun in Aries, which is a direct, clear expression energy. So to me, this says some possible things that could happen would be reformation or new ideology, laws, or beliefs around how we treat the purity of our food, any chemicals that we use for the food, and what we should do about that, what the rules should be, what the regulations and the laws should be around those things. How do we ship and share resources across the sea? How do we use and share energy and money? And so all of those things, all of the ideology and topics of law around those sorts of things can emerge now to have the corruption exposed and an opportunity to make these things right in a more compassionate, connected, higher truth, sort of spiritual truth. From that principle, we can create our value systems around these resources and the sustainability of the earth. So that's sort of what I think is happening here on a collective level. Now, okay, so the other thing about this is that it's going to have an impact on each of us in our individual lives. It's not just a collective energy that we experience. It's also bringing open doors and opportunity, good fortune, and blessings to each of us in our individual personal lives. And so I'm going to get into a 12-sign forecast for all of the signs, at which point I recommend you listen to your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. The rising sign is going to be the most literal, direct manifestation of this energy because it hits your chart explicitly. Sun is going to be very obvious to you as well. And the moon is going to be more about your internal, emotional, and subjective experience. And so in this case, it may represent, when you listen to your moon sign, an area where you're going to be experiencing an opportunity for deeper subconscious healing, and a shedding and rebirth process going on in terms of your emotional experience and the patterns that you exhibit in order to feel safe and secure. And so those are some of the things that I think will be happening with the moon sign. But listen to all three to get an idea of what opportunities will unfold for you for the better part of this year. And then you will look back in 12 years from now when Jupiter and Neptune meet again and think that was the starting point of whatever was playing out in your life for the better at that time. So I'm going to take a quick break and we will get into that shortly. Alrighty, so for Aries, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is happening in your 12th house. I actually really like this for you because the 12th house is associated with Pisces. It's Pisces' natural placement. And so this is, again, another reinforcing energy for clear expression of the beneficial parts of these energies. So this can be a time of profound inner healing for you, profound understanding of your subconscious patterns, and an opportunity to remake your ideologies, to remake your spiritual beliefs, to unearth some of the stuck, limiting, self-sabotaging patterns and redo those things in a way that creates more hope and opportunity in your life. This can also be a time where people who are involved in any of the spiritual practices for profession can experience a lot of opportunity as well. This is a good time for retreats and vacations in which you can experience a lot of healing, a deepening of your meditative practice or any topic like that, or a new understanding of what you don't normally understand and what you can't really see. So magic, mysticism, all of those things coming up around this time. Now, this is also the house having to do with topics of loss, endings, grief, or places that are hidden from society. So things like hospitals, temples, retreat centers, even prisons. So sometimes when Jupiter expands on those things, it might mean that you're spending more time in those institutions or dealing with those types of experience, loss of possessions, loss of money, or visiting family members in the hospital, something like that, or just frequenting a retreat center more. Maybe you're going on like spiritual retreats and diving into your deep inner work. It doesn't necessarily mean that something bad is happening. It just means that those things could occur and be more of an energy in your experience. Ultimately, though, I really like this energy for deep inner healing and also the processing of grief. So the processing of grief over lost loved ones or lost versions of self or dreams that you once had that you didn't fulfill, or things that you wish could have gone a different way in your life. It's a time where grief can be really beneficially processed. This is also a very creative time. It's great for creative ideas and creative work that you're doing behind the scenes that is not ready to be shown to the world yet. So that's really good. And you can also do a lot of dream work, astral travel, and find yourself feeling sleepier, needing more rest. And when you are resting, having really interesting experiences going on. It's sort of a karmic processing period in the dream world. Alrighty, so for Taurus, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is happening in your 11th house. This is a great energy, a great placement for it. Its 11th house has to do with groups, social networks, friends, circles that you surround yourself with by choice. This is a time in which you can expand on your reach and connection with greater audiences. If it's for business, find the friend circle and the tribe that you've been craving and calling in. This can be a time where you're feeling extremely charitable and dedicated to a cause and involving yourself with advocacy for things that are important to you, groups that are meaningful to you in any way, and having a sense of really wanting to give back and share your compassion and your resources where you can. This is also a time in which social media pursuits can be on the top of your mind, and a lot of opportunities can come to you in that realm. This is also a period of time in which you might find yourself getting recognized and rewarded more often. And of course, all of those things are welcome and beneficial. It's like you didn't even realize that you didn't even think you did anything, and you're getting rewards and praises and raises and promotions. Those sorts of things can happen under this energy as well. This is also, the 11th house is also about your long-term goals and visions. So this can be a point in time in which you sort of set a very long-term dream for your career, for your life, for the trajectory that you're on, and you have these hopes and ideas that you are manifesting around this time. And whatever you start around this time could be super beneficial. For instance, Joe Rogan started the Joe Rogan podcast when Jupiter and Neptune were conjunct. Alrighty. Gemini, I love this energy for you. It is in the 10th house of career. Jupiter and Neptune are meeting in the 10th house. That's career, public reputation, and the legacy you leave behind when you are finished with work. Love this energy for beginning new career pursuits, moving into anything related to spirituality, travel, adventure, teaching, healing. This is so fantastic for medical professionals and teachers and creatives alike. And anything that you're trying to start in the realm of career, what you start here, it's gonna take a long time to blossom, for instance, because this is a very long cycle, but you could experience a lot of open doors helping direct you into the areas that you're meant to go. Assistance coming in, opportunities you didn't even have to work for being presented to you. Things feeling easier at work because you have more assistance. So Jupiter can expand on work, so you might be busier, but in some sense, there is a feeling that it's more restful when this conjunction happens. There's a way that it can feel like it's working for you, and feeling more beneficial in that way. This is a fantastic opportunity here to really set in motion your wildest dreams in terms of your career, right? Because Neptune and Pisces is all about your dreams. It's all about what you want and envision for your life, and you can feel hopeful and optimistic about those things with these planets conjunct in your 10th house. Alrighty, so for Cancer, the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction is happening in your 9th house. This is also a beautiful energy that makes a trine to your sun, moon, or rising sign, in which you have an opportunity to sort of remake your whole philosophy and perspective on the world. This is a time in which you will feel an insurgence of hope and optimism, joy, and expression of your true connection with divinity. You're going to find that, whether it's through religion or through a belief system that feels really aligned to you and helps you to sort of purge and remake the way that you think about things and your belief systems. This is also a period of time that's really beneficial for any type of educational pursuit. So you might be going back to school, going to school for the first time, going to teach something. Maybe this is efforts related to desiring to teach something, or travel around the world. This is good if you're looking to start an adventure with that includes more travel or exploration of other cultures. It could be a period of time in which you're sort of bopping around nomadically or something like that, where you can really have a worldly adventurous experience. That's what this Jupiter and Neptune conjunction will do for you in the 9th house. Alrighty, so for Leo, the energy of the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction is happening in your 8th house. 8th house has many significations, one of which is on the material plane, having to do with joint finances and investments, money that you get from the outside or from other people, whether through an institution or from your partner. And so when the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction here happen in the 8th house, this might be a period of time in which you are embarking on a journey to do something in partnership with another person financially, or you may be investing. And so there could be an increase. Jupiter can increase debt at this time, but you can trust that it's actually going to work for you and be an opportunity that ends well in the end, because Jupiter is the great benefic. So if those things expand around this time, know that this is actually leading to more opportunity for you, but you might be acquiring a mortgage. You might be paying off some debt. You might be in a position to invest in a business. Something like that can happen. Receiving an inheritance, an insurance payout, all of those things are also topics that can come around this time, but watch out, because issues of taxes, fines, and fees can also increase with Jupiter's influence here in the 8th house for about the next year or so. So you don't want to put yourself in any position to be vulnerable to those sorts of things, like speeding on the highway, for instance, is one such manifestation of that, because it would be more likely under this influence. Now, the 8th house is also a number of other topics, taboo topics like sex, the occult, magic, witchcraft. If you're taking an increased interest in those things right now, or desiring to start a pursuit in one of those areas, maybe it's teaching one of those topics, working in those capacities with other people. That is all very beneficial and supported around this time. And you may also find that topics of death and rebirth, inner transformation, changing your fear into your desire, alchemy, and manifestation are topics that come up right now, which can feel uncomfortable at first. So this can feel like a deep probing and picking at all of the things that scare you most. But ultimately, what this energy is going to do is unearth those things in a way where you can really shed them, go through the ego death, and be born anew, essentially. And it might be done in one possible manifestation of this is that those experiences are done in a medically or psychedelically assisted way, because that's one of the major concepts of Neptune. So you might experience deep, profound healing if you engage in something like an ayahuasca retreat or something like that. I'm not advocating for that, by the way. I guess that's my disclaimer. All right. Alrighty. And so for Virgo, the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction is happening in your 7th house. The 7th house is traditionally thought of as the house of marriage or the partner, long-term relationship. And so this can be a time in which you're starting one of those things where you might be getting married or engaged. This could be an energy in which you are also starting a new business contract or relationship with another person one-on-one, or beginning to work with people one-on-one. Any pursuits of that nature can be really supported, and opportunities can come to you in that realm as well. This is also the house of contracts and agreements. So if you're in business where you've got to write a lot of contracts or do anything like that, those energies are supported by this conjunction as well. It's agreements and negotiations. This is also the house of open enemies. So if you have people at work that you rub against, or you fight a lot with your marriage partner, this can be a period of time in which you experience deeper healing by looking at your subconscious patterns and accessing your compassion for the other person. Those things can come easier at this time. So if you've been in a sticky situation with a partner, you can hope for things to feel a little easier around this time. People who are not partnered could see a lot of opportunity in that area. Those things can come to you. Expansion of that area, the importance of that area in life can really open up, and opportunities can come to you in the realm of partnership with other people, both romantic and business. So for Libra, the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction is happening in your 6th house. This is the house of health, healing, work, and daily routines, right? So around this time, you might notice yourself being very concerned with your health and getting your health back in order. If you've had some health issues, you might find that things can start to feel easier now, and you can access a greater level of healing after you expand on those themes by paying a lot of attention to them. Doctors, taking medicine or supplements, or just starting a lot of really specific health routines, like you're trying to get very structured with your time and make sure that you work out and meditate and do all these things that support all versions of your well-being. The food that you eat, those sorts of things can come to prominence now, and you can experience a deeper sense of vitality and healing around this time. It's also the house of your work and the collaborations and interactions that you have with your coworkers. So for many of you, you might be adding more people to your team, finding yourself having to work with other folks, getting people on board that are reporting to you or that you're reporting to them, and having to interact with new folks on new projects. And work should hopefully feel easier under this influence. So there might be more work, but if with the help of these additional people, and if you approach your relationships with your coworkers in an intuitive way, you might find that your workload can feel a lot easier around this time as well. For Scorpio, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is happening in your 5th house. What an energy. It makes a trine to your sun, moon, or rising sign, and that is good news for you. It's very harmonious with you to have this energy in the 5th house. It's a lucky energy. The 5th house is about play. It's about fun. It's about authenticity. It's about your purpose and what lights you up in this reality. It's about doing the things you want to do because they're fun and because you can enjoy them. It's also having to do with your romantic life and dating and sex. It also has to do with children and creativity. So entrepreneurship, hobbies, passion projects, all of those things fall under the 5th house. It's about creative expression and joy. So with Jupiter and Neptune there, you're probably coming up with a lot of ideas, feeling really creative, feeling really excited, feeling like you're on your game, feeling attractive, magnetizing to you what you like. If you have children or you're hoping to, this is a great time for trying to have a baby. If you don't want to have a baby, note that. But this is a good time for your dating life where things can feel authentic and aligned in a way in which they haven't in the past. And that can be very healing for you over past issues. You can also begin to understand your subconscious patterns in a new way and alchemize them when it comes to dating or your interactions with existing children and your own kids. Basically, this is going to be a period in time this whole next year in which it feels more exciting and like you have more a joyful sense of play and a carefree energy about you. For Sagittarius, the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction is happening in your 4th house of home. This is a period of time in which you can experience a lot of creative play in your house, moving things around, renovating, redecorating. You could be moving to a new location or finding a spot that feels perfect for you to live, getting a house, adding to the family, expanding on your family with a pet or a child, or taking in an older relative to expand onto your family. This could be a period in time in which you also are able to really see clearly and heal, get some deep subconscious healing over ancestral trauma patterns, which is also another 4th house theme. So this is pretty much a good energy all around. The 4th house also has to do with property. And so you might be expanding on property, acquiring more property this year. Setting more roots in the location that you're currently in is another expression of this energy as well. Basically, you're going to be able to find deep healing and a deeper sense of adventure around the place that you live in a way that feels really good to you. So for Capricorn, this energy is happening in the 3rd house. The Jupiter and Neptune conjunction in the 3rd house is an awesome time for the development of your mind and your community. So you might find yourself over the course of this year connecting more with community, making more friends, socializing more, coming up with more ideas and putting them into action through communication projects or writing. If you've always wanted to write a book, now's the time. If you've always wanted to have a podcast or start a YouTube channel, now's the time. This is a good energy for Capricorn to express themselves in any type of communication art form. It's also a good energy for learning a language, studying a language, or new skills in general. This is a good time to take courses and to learn. It's a good time to connect with your siblings, with your neighborhood, and with your extended family as well. So this is a beneficial energy for just refreshing your mindset and getting more curious about life. And you might also find yourself taking quite a few more short, quick trips locally around where you live and quicker travel to destinations that are not too far away. So for Aquarius, the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction is happening in your 2nd house. Whoa, this is the house of money, finances, and abundance, things of value, material possessions. I'm not telling you money's going to rain from the sky, but I am telling you there's going to be change or opportunity or open doors when it comes to how you make money and hopefully making more of it. So if at first it seems like you lose something, Neptune, trust that an open door is waiting for you. A more beneficial opportunity is on its way to you, Jupiter. And that's what this conjunction is all about, and it relates to how you make money. This is also about healing in terms of your self-esteem and your self-image and your body image. So this can be a time in which you're more conscious and aware of the effect of the foods that you eat on your body and making better choices around that and kind of understanding what it is you value. And then that leading to having a greater sense of self-esteem and sort of healing all of those image issues can be really an opportunity with this 2nd house energy as well. Finally, for Pisces, the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction is happening in your sign. Whoa, beneficial energy for remaking your entire identity. This is a great time in which you can feel much more compassionate, alive, joyous, adventurous, hopeful, and opportunities will flood to you in every area of life. It will light up your career, it will light up your home and your partnerships, and it will say, let's open the doors, but first we got to let go of the things that we don't want, right? So if at first this energy has already been feeling or continues to feel like things are sort of shedding and you're continuing to let go and drop off of, like, it just feels like you didn't even realize you haven't had this many snake skins to let go of and they just keep coming. Trust that you are growing. You are growing. That's what Jupiter is all about. And this is your year, Pisces, where things can really feel easier and things can really begin to work for you under this influence. So magic is alive. Synchronicities are afoot. Pay attention, stay hopeful, keep the faith. And this can be a time in which you can begin to manifest a lot of your dreams in every area of your life. Alrighty, so that's what's in store with the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, share it with a friend who you think might benefit. Leave a comment below, like this video, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one with energy. Sarah.